Welcome to our UpLoad magazine. After a long wait, it's finally time once again. We've invited you to our popular Customer Days here in Ehingen. Look forward to some impressions from our event and new product highlights, such as the LTM 1400-6.1, the SPMT Ballast wagon on the LR 12500-1.0, and new features for the crane finder. Here we go. Let's talk about ballast, specifically about useful ballast. Hello, Jens.
Hi, Martin.
Jens, what new option is there for the LR 12500-1.0?
We talked about ballast wagons once before, and a ballast wagon is generally there to ensure that the crane remains operational, no matter how much ballast it uses. In other words, if the crane has a heavy lift, it takes a lot of ballast from the wagon. If it has no load on the hook, it can still turn and swivel because the weight remains on the wagon. And now we've moved a bit into the future. We are now using SPMTs as ballast wagons, so-called self-propelled modular transporters. And the setup we see here consists of 6 vehicles with 6 axles each, i.e. 36 axles, which can carry the weight of 1,400 tons.
The idea is not entirely new. We've already tried out similar solutions with other crane models, but what's different this time?
We used to try to connect the crane and the SPMT, but we never really managed to get them to work together seamlessly. It always required additional personnel to steer and guide the machine. 3 years ago, we made a little progress and tried to create this setup on the LR 11000, and this is now the follow-up development on the LR 12500.
As you just mentioned, we collaborated with 2 heavy-duty companies, Sarins and Kamak, 2 business partners with whom we've already carried out these tests on the LR 11000. What was the result of this partnership?
Well, the result was actually very good. The people got on very well, and the control system worked excellently. I believe it was a very successful joint effort, and this partnership between the 3 companies has really achieved the goal of making the crane and SPMT understand each other.
Now we're standing by the 2,500-ton crane. Are there any plans to make this system available and install it on other crane models?
Exactly. So we had the idea of developing a universal solution, not just for this one crane type, but also one that would be more or less extended to the whole fleet. And starting here with the LR 12500, we will try it out on the LR 13000 next.
A great solution that also prevents such a large investment from going unused.
That would be a shame, and should there actually be a job where the wagon isn't needed, the crane can of course operate independently again. The SPMTs can then be used on other construction sites to transport heavy loads. Everyone can go back to doing their own thing.
Great. Jens, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you, Martin.
The new version of the Crane Finder has been online since June. It offers a range of enhancements and new features. Among other things, the Crane Finder is now also available as an app. I'm now joined by Isabel Brame from the Digital Products and Services Department, who can tell us more about this. Hello, Isabel.
Hi, Martin.
And Product Manager Wolfgang Boos. Hello, Wolfgang.
Hello, Martin. Nice to see you.
Wolfgang, why don't you tell us what's new in the Crane Finder?
Firstly, we have completely revised the database on which the Crane Finder is based. In other words, more information, more structured data, simply a cleaner planning basis for our customers.
And what are the specific benefits of this?
Well, on the one hand, we have a lot more information. You can see it here. For example, I have the ballast radius, the support base, the accessory angle, all of which I didn't have before, which is extremely relevant for assessing the lift on the construction site. And just consider this, the Crane Finder calculates 1.7 billion configurations within a few seconds. That's quite a lot.
The Crane Finder always selects the smallest possible crane for the specified load case and always with full ballast. In many cases, however, the crane could probably do the job with less ballast. How do I find out the minimum ballast to fulfill the respective load capacity requirements?
That's exactly what we thought about, and the result is this button, Optimize Configuration. When I click on it, within the crane I get the ballast variant displayed with the minimum ballast that I can still perform the lift. As a crane operator, this naturally saves me transport costs, but at the end of the day, I'm also doing something good for my CO2 footprint. And of course, it's a wonderful thing that digital products help our customers to save costs and reduce CO2 emissions.
With so many cranes, doesn't it get confusing?
Yes, of course, we thought about that too. The result is that I can switch this tile view to a list view. On the one hand, it's much more compact. On the other hand, I have a so-called multi-select filter. For example, I can display only LTMs or LRs in the results list, as well as a few other options, and of course, this reduces the flood of data immensely.
Great, thank you very much, Wolfgang.
With pleasure.
Isabel, the Crane Finder is now also available as an app for mobile devices. What are the benefits of the app?
Yes, the Crane Finder app is accessible from anywhere, whether you're on the road or directly on the construction site. Let's imagine that a crane driver wants to lift a prefabricated garage from a lorry to a specific spot. The Crane Finder app can be used to check on site how the crane needs to be set up to do the job. The app also offers a so-called favourites function for quick access to the user's preferred crane models. Since crane drivers, our main target group, typically use the same type of crane regularly, the complete results list is less important than the detailed specifications for each crane.
And who can use the app? Do I need a Liebherr account?
The app is available to every user free of charge without requiring a Liebherr login. However, a free Liebherr account offers additional advantages such as the aforementioned favourites function, the My Fleet feature and the complete results list.
Great, thank you very much, Isabel.
You're welcome.
Strong, long and easy. This is the motto of our newest family member, the LTM 1400-6.1. It's an economical, powerful and quickly deployable 400-ton crane on 6 axles. Julian, you played a key role in developing the concept for this crane. Why don't you tell us a bit more about it?
Sure, Martin. The LTM 1400-6.1 replaces our very successful LTM 1350-6.1, a crane that we've had in our portfolio for over 15 years. The new 400-tonner is the most powerful 6-axle crane on the market. We've achieved this with a completely redesigned Y-guying system. It's the perfect crane for entering the large crane class.
And you mentioned that the Y-guying system is something rather special.
Yes, we've really optimized it once again. We've simplified and optimized the setup processes. This new Y-guying system makes the setup process much easier. This means the crane automatically lifts the Y-guying system onto the chassis in a single lift. The boom luffs between the two TY frames pins automatically, especially the hydraulics, via a Liquifix coupling, so it's very simple. The crane driver only needs to plug in the electrical connector at the end, and that's it.
And the ballast assembly, is that just as quick?
Absolutely. We've retained and optimized the counterweight frame and ballast from the 1350 model. This means the crane now features Vario ballast, giving us the option of completely variable adjustment and a maximum radius of 7.7 meters, which gives the crane enormous lifting capacities.
Many customers want to know, how does the crane perform in tight spaces?
Our Vario ballast shines here too. On a small radius, the crane is very compact, highly flexible and can work efficiently in confined spaces.
Last question, does it also have Vario base?
Of course, we also adopted that from all our other mobile cranes. A major highlight in the new feature in the 6-axle segment is that the support can be adjusted freely between 0 and 50%. This means more flexibility for our customers, something we've previously only had from our 2-axle vehicle to 5-axle cranes.
Great, Julian. Many thanks for these insights.
My pleasure.
And now let's move on to our next highlight. Monitoring the entire surroundings of a large crane is easy from a bird's eye view. However, it's a major challenge for the crane driver on the ground. We'll now explain how crane driver information systems can further enhance road safety. And to discuss this, I'm speaking with Christian Sauter from our technical testing department.
Hi, Martin.
Christian, for blind spots and blind angles, we've had cameras and mirrors for a long time. We equip all new mobile crane types with assistance systems. Existing crane models are also being successively upgraded, so that by 2026, our entire portfolio will be equipped with these assistance systems. What's the background to all this?
The EU aims to drastically reduce the number of fatalities on Europe's roads. Therefore, we have developed tailored systems for our cranes to increase road safety using state-of-the-art technology.
Liebherr has developed the Blind Spot Assistant for this purpose. How exactly does it work?
The Blind Spot Assistant, also known as the Blind Spot Information System, monitors the entire sight area of the crane and provides the crane driver with information about potential hazards above and beyond what is visible in his or her mirror. The system detects people or cyclists via a camera wing with 2 integrated cameras. If a person or a cyclist is detected, this is communicated to the driver by an LED traffic light inside the vehicle. In case of acute danger, an acoustic signal is also triggered. Optionally, the system can be equipped with a display that instantly presents the hazard situation to the crane driver, enabling more accurate assessment. The display also offers the driver better visibility in poor weather conditions and low light.
And then there's also the moving off information system. What's that all about?
This system is used if there's a person in front of the crane when the driver intends to move off. Despite the built-in mirrors, it's often hard for the driver to see small children and people due to the hook. To tackle this problem, we have installed 2 cameras that detect people and alert the driver via an LED display in Licon 2 cranes. With Licon 3, we have integrated the safety information into our digital display.
So, 2 very important systems that significantly enhance safety during crane operation.
Exactly.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, Martin.
And that wraps up our Customer Days 2024. So it's goodbye from Ehingen, and we're already looking forward to our next issue, which will include exciting crane operations in France and Portugal. So, bye for now and see you then.